StudioApp is another vendor for what I call bunch-o-layer transitions for Premiere. Just about everything that Mr. Horse gets right, StudioApp gets wrong. This is another extension called Premiere Studio, which also imports a bunch of layers on top of all your footage. And I have nothing positive to say about it. Many of these transitions have the typical resolution cut in half problem, and on top of that, most of them just don't look very good. This is the ugliest lens zoom I've ever seen in my life. The light leaks also add a ton of blur on your footage, which is not how light leaks work. In my initial tests, the transitions wouldn't group together, instead randomly selecting parts of other transitions, which is absolutely devastating for any complex timeline where moving just one transition could easily overwrite your carefully placed clips off screen where you won't see the problem until potentially hours later. You can't drag the transitions out of the extension, instead having to rely on their own obnoxiously tiny add button, which won't overwrite your footage, though I did notice it overwriting one of my adjustment layers, but it will happily add transitions underneath it, which you then have to move up. I got numerous messages from Premiere informing me of errors, but it's hard to tell the difference between bugs and features with StudioApp. The autoplay is incredibly annoying, since it keeps going even when the panel is not in focus. You can turn off autoplay, but then it also stops happening when the panel is in focus. So you can't tell what's what unless you hover over one transition at a time, or read the ridiculously small text, smaller than anything else in my entire Premiere interface. You can't change the length of transitions after you've placed them down, though you do at least have options for short and long, which isn't nearly granular enough. It's faster to import transitions than Mr. Horse, but only because it skips essential steps, leaving your track targeting an absolute mess. I prefer to keep all tracks targeted all the time, but it keeps switching a bunch of them off anytime I add a transition. Oh, did I say it was faster? Sometimes it is, but other times it's brutally slow, and I don't know why. I'm just gonna make you wait here with me in real time while this slowly imports with a bug. Unlike Mr. Horse, it doesn't delete the sequences that it copies out of, and instead dumps them all into your root bin, where they unnecessarily clutter up your organization. Also, the transitions add these stupid markers to the timeline. Why? And there's no way to turn this off. I've been using green timeline markers to signify more work needed here for 10 years. The more I use StudioApp, the more problems I encounter. Update from the future. Okay, Mr. Horse is doing the timeline markers thing as well. I just figured out what the problem is. I have markers, copy paste includes sequence markers, checked on. I have that on for my own reasons. I shouldn't have to turn that off to avoid this. Guys, Mr. Horse, everyone, don't have markers. Do something else. We now return to your scheduled program. The one and only interesting feature that they have is the ability for their transitions to update themselves after you change your sequence settings. All you have to do, ostensibly, is push the resize button. But first of all, who changes their resolution midway through a project? That's insane. I've done that maybe less than 10 times in 10 years of video editing. And believe me, the transitions would be the least of my problems. Furthermore, sometimes it doesn't even work, like with these glass transitions, which for me have always been broken. Ultimately, StudioApp's Premiere Studio feels like it was created by people who have never edited a video professionally and have no idea the real needs and problems that video editors deal with. So, despite its cheap price tag of $7.25 a month or $60 to buy it forever, I'm giving StudioApp an F. In the next video, I'll review 640studio.io.